Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and Bitcoin is doing Bitcoin things, right? Bitcoin is pretty much doing exactly what I thought it would do for the last few years. And I'm seeing a lot of people now suddenly start to clock that maybe this rally's for real, okay? Maybe we're not going to just retrace and roll over and go to new lows. Maybe we're not going to do standard 4-year cycle stuff. So I wanted to just kind of remind people that the reason so many people are struggling in this market is they are treating it like it's a bull market. This is not a bull market. This is a camel run. There is a massive, massive, massive difference. If this was a normal bull market, would we have not seen 30 to 40% pullbacks multiple times by now? If this was a bull market, would we have not had people enjoying the ride? Would we have had such high levels of toxicity through this bull run if it indeed was a bull run? No, we would not, because this is not a bull run. This is a camel run. People have been doubting this rally the entire way up. People will continue to doubt this rally the entire way up. This has been the most angriest, the most doubted, the most hated, most shorted rally I have ever seen in nearly a decade and a half of trading. In the more short term, we are still indeed looking for some sentiment to be flushed here and some sentiment to be reset. This is a stock market. I've been talking about this weekly cycle coming for a while. And it is important to keep this as contextual awareness because all things ebb and flow. Okay, this is unreasonable. Even though I am still calling for a blow off top, it is unreasonable to expect this thing just to continue up in a straight line. Okay, there will be pullbacks. We will probably have to find some cycle lows. And there are a number of paths this thing can take, right? Whether it takes this long or whether it's much more of a V shape out of here, right? Maybe we do something more like this and force it early and then continue higher. Either way, okay, cycles are cycles. They exist. They are observable. You can see them here multiple times, okay? Go and try this out for yourself if you don't believe me. So it's important to keep this as contextual awareness. There may well be some weakness developing over the coming weeks before that final run to the blow off top that we've been expecting on this channel forever. Gold too is likely entering a bull market in the not too distant future, but first we have to find that weekly cycle low as well. Again, it's important to keep this in the back of your mind as contextual awareness. And as I was saying at the start, this is not an ordinary bull run. This is much more likely a camel run. Whilst we are slightly behind schedule at the moment in terms of time, okay, we are much more, where are we? We're about here, okay? Either way, as you can see from this next chart, we are still more than on for an early left translated cycle top that has been the base case on this channel for some time. As Tony points out right here, any chance of this being a bear market rally is completely over once we are through 52.6, which of course, as of the time of recording, we're currently trading around $56,000. So the notion that this is a bear market rally is essentially ridiculous now. And remember, everyone has been trained and conditioned to look left and extrapolate out to the right. Everyone thinks that we're going to do standard 4-year cycle stuff, top around the end of next year, and then spend 12 months in a bear market decline. As I keep saying over and over again, this is more and more likely with every day that we do not have a serious and significant correction. The more we continue to go up, the more we are indeed going to put in a left translated cycle top, and thus the more time there will be for us to spend in a bear market decline. And a lot of people are out here, again, it feeds into this idea of this camel run versus bull run. A lot of people just don't understand Bitcoin can keep doing this. Bitcoin can keep doing this well through the $100, $150, $200,000 level. Now, if you don't believe that, ask yourself why you're even here in the first place, okay? What are you doing here? This is Bitcoin, this is what it does. And take a look at the Mayer multiple, okay? Huge spikes, big compression. What do you think is going to happen? This? No, probably not. Most probably, based on everything we've been covering for weeks and weeks and months, this is what comes next. Something else investors have been trained to do is expect diminishing returns. Yeah, well, it's going to triple top. Yeah, well, it's going to top at 85K. It's probably not. This time is probably the blow-off of all blow-offs that sets us up for multiple lower highs, multiple consolidation cycles. That's just how cycles work. But in the more immediate term, okay, look at the RSI, getting ready for blast off. Look what happened the last times here, and here. Very good things happened to the price of Bitcoin walking forward. Is this time going to be different? I personally highly doubt it. Again, I've been showing charts like this over and over again. And when I was calling for this left translated cycle top down at the lows, understandably, people did not believe. Understandably, people thought, who on earth is this guy? Why are you trying to be different? That was something people kept reaching out to me and saying, you don't need to be different, Camel. Just, accept that we're going to do what we always have done. Well, now look, okay? Now look. This is how markets work. The people that are the most experienced get to ride the waves for what they are. Everyone else is along for the ride. And again, you can see this here, not just from me, okay? Now from Bob Lucas. A normal Bitcoin cycle would have pulled back by now and consolidated for another 6 months, well under all-time highs. This time actually is different. I've been saying this over and over again. Do you believe me now? Okay? I know many of you have done, but so many people have been accusing me of being delusional about saying things are different. Does this look anything like the prior times before? No, it does not. We are on track to break out of all-time highs faster than any other cycle. Right here, Bitcoin is fast approaching escape velocity. Remember, even though this is currently showing a right translated cycle, I think if we continue like this, we are indeed going to put in a parabola and end up spending the majority of this 4-year cycle in a bear market decline. This is something you should at least be open to. This has been my base case. I don't mind if I'm proven wrong. I'll adapt as need be, of course. But as I've been saying over and over again, down here it seemed like an insane call. Now it looks like if we don't start to base or pull back significantly very, very soon, then we are indeed going to put in a parabola to an early top. And disbelief phase has officially ended. Okay, FOMO is coming to Bitcoin. And we can see this. You can see this around because as somebody that has been a champion of this left translated cycle for a long, long time, I can tell you, nobody knew what it was. I've made dozens and dozens of videos on it. And now finally you scroll through Twitter and every man and his dog is suddenly going, oh yeah, there's this thing called a left translated cycle. They don't even understand what cycles are. Most of them are still measuring the 4-year cycle, halving to halving, or top to top, right? You can tell this. You just scroll through Twitter. People don't know what they're talking about, but yet they've clocked this idea of a left translated cycle. And keep in mind, for a while, the herd can be correct, okay? Down here, the herd was flat wrong, calling for 10, 12K, whatever the number was. And all through here, they were flat wrong as well, saying nothing's different. Why are you trying to be different? We're not going to go left translated. What even is left translated? Now we're at this portion where the herd is going to be right for some time. Left translated cycle top is the most likely. Yeah, but it doesn't take a genius to work that out, does it? When we're in this final stage of the parabola. And then once we get up into this neighborhood, the topping zone, where I will be selling, I will again become contrarian. And as I start to exit my position up here, everyone will be calling me crazy again, just like they did down here, because they will be assuming that what comes next is a super cycle straight to 1 million. Of course, that is not how it works. But I am very much enjoying the ride. Remember, it's right until it's wrong in trading. If this thing continues to move up, then we are going to set that third angle of attack into the parabola. And during all of this excitement for Bitcoin, I wanted to point this out, okay? Now, don't shoot the messenger. This is just my thought. This is just an opinion. And I believe this opinion to be worth considering. I personally don't really have a dog in this fight since I am not an altcoin guy. But I see an awful lot of people looking at the ETH Bitcoin ratio and saying, I know what comes next. Huge breakout, right? ETH to start to overperform, altcoins to run, alt season is coming. I see an awful lot of people talking about this, right? And maybe that is true. But I honestly think you should consider this, okay? If we are really, really honest, max pain is that this thing breaks to the downside. Okay, let me say that again. If we're really honest, okay, this thing breaks to the downside, causes more pain than it breaks to the upside. Okay, only the maxis will get to laugh if that's true. Everyone else is going to have a mental breakdown. Ask yourself this right now. Are you positioned for Bitcoin overperformance, or are you positioned more to exploit altcoins when alt season comes? Okay, which of those two do you want? Now, I already know the answer. You would rather have altcoins, okay? For the vast majority of you, you would rather have altcoins do well. You're holding fat bags of altcoins that your favorite influencers online have told you are going to outperform. And I hope they do for your sake, okay? I hope they do for your sake. But it goes back to this thing. If we're being really honest, okay, what do you think would harm the most amount of participants? Bitcoin runs and continues higher, or ETH breaks out and starts to outperform? I personally think the path of max pain is Bitcoin continues to do Bitcoin things and everyone is sat there holding onto a bag of pets.com going, huh? I don't understand. Like last cycle, everything broke out, everything outperformed. Why is this not going back to all-time highs? And the reality will be because the market has matured to a point where it doesn't want to play dog coins anymore. So anyway, like I said, I'm not really a Bitcoin maxi. I just don't really care for altcoins. I'm at a stage in my career and my life or my net worth where I don't really need them. But just ask yourself for your own mental sanity, okay? Are you positioned more for altcoin outperformance or for Bitcoin outperformance? What do you think? Do you really think that ETH breaking out and alts going ballistic is going to harm more people than if Bitcoin goes up and this ratio breaks to the downside? Okay, just something I think you should consider. Yesterday, I was playing around with this fractal and I was wondering what the absolute maximum upside could be in a extremely left translated blow off top. I have come to this conclusion that most probably this is way too ambitious. But you can see we do have this channel and a touch of this would give an absurdly large number. Again, whilst a lot of people will be quick to look at this and say there's absolutely no possible way, What people don't realize is this would actually be very, very typical for the 4-year cycle in a commodity super cycle. We go right translated, right translated, right translated, left translated, and then have to spend multiple 4-year cycles building out a base before we can emerge once more. It's also very common to get this deviation of the lower trend line in that bear market to trap everyone to thinking the thing is broken forever and is going to die. And I know the assumption is that if something like this is to play out, and we do see Bitcoin go to an absurd valuation, the assumption is, of course, that altcoins are going to outperform. But again, I ask you, how many people are in a position to benefit from this versus how many people are in a position to benefit from an enormous altcoin season? Also, whilst we're here, I wanted to check in on the Bitcoin to gold ratio of mine, right? Take a look at this, okay? Let me clean up this squiggle, this exit squiggle for you, and zoom in a little bit, okay? As you can see, the thing is kind of playing out. Right, the thing is kind of playing out. This is Bitcoin priced in gold, and I've been very public about saying if we can get a touch of the upward sloping red resistance line at the top of the channel, I will be more than happy to exit a huge chunk of my Bitcoin into physical gold bullion here. And if you think about it from the cycle perspective I was showing you at the start, right, the gold cycle needs to pull back into a weekly cycle low. This should give us the space to see relative gold weakness here. And on that relative gold weakness, Bitcoin is, of course, catching a pump as we speak and is far closer to price discovery than anybody thought was possible at this early stage in the 4-year cycle. I'm going to continue to monitor this, but you better believe if we get up into this neighborhood here where you can get 100 ounces of gold for 1 Bitcoin, I have my exit strategy. And so today, before we go through the charts, I just wanted to cover Tesla for one of the members. I keep forgetting to do this, so sorry about that, Rhonda. So for Tesla, there's two ideas, isn't there? One is that the bottom is in which case you could have a trade in here and put a stop just below something like this. I personally don't like that. I would much rather be a buyer higher up in this neighborhood if we can get a breakout of the downsloping purple resistance line, something like this. Now, a lot of people will say, well, why would you rather buy at 260 than at 198? And the reason being the technical setup and the area on the chart around which I can manage my risk. So I would be happy to long this breakout if it was to occur like this yellow squiggle suggests, with a stop somewhere below wherever the local low cluster forms. Like I said, there is a thesis for a trade here. If that really is the low, then you have clearing validation on the chart, right? Price should not trade below that low. But I would much rather, as I said, be buying higher up. So that's how I see Tesla, to each their own. Look at the dollar, the DXY, okay? Breaking down, following our yellow squiggle, on our way perhaps to a 3-year cycle low. We'll need to continue to update this and track this one day at a time. But so far, so good, okay? Speaks to the space for a risk-on moment and for Bitcoin to keep doing Bitcoin things. Speaking of Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things, okay? Look at this. Following our yellow squiggle just right. Seems to me that the most probable outcome is we are indeed going to cross off this questionable count to the left and accept the one to the right, which also tells us we have plenty of time left in the daily and the weekly cycle. The weekly cycle is either going to form here or a full 60-day cycle later. So we're going to get to solve that problem soon enough. Overall, though, you know, it's easy to say now, oh yeah, Bitcoin's probably going to break out to all-time highs. But just remember how much of a contrarian call this has been and how few people have actually managed to get this right. Hopping around a bit here, but stick with me. Look, here's gold, okay? Getting ready probably to break down pretty soon. And when it does, we're going to be looking to add that short. So again, I'll notify the members as and when I do this. The oil short, still not setting up, but it's kind of following our yellow squiggle, isn't it? So if we can get a breakdown, we'll short that. And notice how, again, a lot of trolls came out in full force to say, you missed the cycle low or whatever. And I said many times, maybe I did, right? Maybe that's a cycle low. And we'll know by about Wednesday or Thursday, because if we continue to do this, then the cycle low's in, and that's fine. We'll deal with that as and when we've got it figured out. But if not, then, like I said, what we should see this week is a swing high come in, a sharp short sell-off, bunch of red candles into a cycle low, and out of there, we can look to add exposure back. So far, it's kind of following this yellow squiggle, isn't it? Now, it could easily hold this trend line, and if it does, like I said, we'll have to confirm that this is indeed the early cycle low. But it's just too early to tell yet. It's too early for anyone to be celebrating. Here's the NASDAQ as well. It's a similar story, isn't it? Either that is the cycle low there, or we're about to do this and undercut that low and form a new cycle low probably at the end of this week. The Dow Jones, we're still pushing this long, still above the support, so we'll keep pushing that. And of course, the Russell 2K also still pushing that, looking to get a break above the range here. So long and strong continue to push. The crypto-related stocks, I know the members must be really happy with this. Look at us go. What is there to say, right? We just keep stacking positions. We keep pushing the longs. And if we are going to have a left translated cycle top, like I've been calling for Bitcoin, then these are going to be at all-time highs very, very quickly. Okay? So manage risk. Don't be. Look at MicroStrategy as well. Look, I mean, we've been waiting for this a long, long time. If you're a channel OG, you know, we have been waiting for this for a very, very, very long time. It's not going to be long before it's time to start taking profit on these. And again, Riot going to start to explode to the upside. marathon as well. So happy days, big gap. There's an earnings coming out this week. So yeah. Anyway, it all makes sense, right? It all makes sense if you've been here for a while. If you're new here, consider subscribing because frankly, you know, we do things correctly here. I show you all my positions. I call them out ahead of time. I have full transparency. We don't do no shilling. We don't do no altcoin referrals or exchange referral links or any of that. So if you want to actually learn how trading looks like in the real world, okay, if you want to learn how to actually do this like a pro, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. For everyone else, right, pat yourself on the back. We did it, right? It looks like we're pretty much here at this left translated cycle moment. As ever, we take it one day at a time, right? I'm open to letting the market prove me wrong, but for that to happen, we're going to need to see a significant pullback here or months of sideways and basing, okay? Now, if that happens, then we can adapt to that, and it also brings into question that we're going to get a lower high and not make an all-time high. But for now, as I've been saying over and over and over again, it's right until it's wrong, okay? We'll keep riding it until the market proves us otherwise. And as ever, we take things one day at a time, no bias, no emotion, and we'll see what the market can give. I'm your boy Camel. Hope you found value here today. In the meantime, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.